Proponents of this amendment would have you believe that this is simply about making the Iowa Constitution silent or neutral on abortion, that this amendment to the Iowa Constitution is needed in order to prevent late-term and taxpayer-funded abortions, that it's about addressing judicial overreach. Don't be fooled. This amendment is about restricting women's freedom to make their own health care decisions. It's about telling women what they may or may not do with their own bodies, with their own future. The intent of this amendment is to strip Iowans of their right to safe, legal abortion. It's about its proponents' long-term goal to eventually ban abortion in Iowa. Don't be fooled. This amendment is not about making the Iowa Constitution silent on the topic of abortion. The proposed amendment contains only 69 words, 5 of which are abortion. This amendment to our state constitution would be the first to take away basic rights instead of protecting them. If this amendment passes, the Iowa Constitution will no longer protect a woman's right to end a pregnancy, even in cases of rape or incest, or when her health is in danger. Don't be fooled by the same lawmakers who supported a 6-week abortion ban, which was struck down by the Iowa Supreme Court as unconstitutional. They are now trying to amend the Iowa Constitution to declare that there is no right to an abortion. And why? Because it clears the way for them to ban abortion. With no constitutional protection in place to stop them, they can pass burdensome, medically unnecessary restrictions on health care for women. And if Roe v. Wade is overturned at the federal level, Iowa could then follow suit and ban abortion as well. That's their goal. Don't be fooled. Proponents also claim that this bill is required to prevent late-term abortions. To be clear, even though you may hear a lot of rhetoric about abortion later in pregnancy, there is no precise or medical or legal definition of a late-term abortion. The phrase is, at best, imprecise and misleading. This bill's proponents use such language to imply that, without a law prohibiting it, women could demand an abortion up to the point of giving birth. The language of the amendment even states its purpose is to defend against efforts to expand abortion, even to the day of birth. The truth here is that even the easiest pregnancies are complicated. Each woman's experience is unique. This dangerous and misleading law fails to acknowledge that. Doctors and patients need all of their options when something goes horribly wrong during a woman's pregnancy. Don't be fooled. The fact is, only 1.3% of abortions are performed at greater than 21 weeks. Women must have the freedom to make their own medical decisions throughout their pregnancy. Women deserve access to high-quality health care, free from political interference. And don't be fooled by the implication that women can't be trusted. Otherwise, they may irresponsibly have abortions late into their pregnancy. The fact is, abortions later in pregnancy occur infrequently, and when they do, they typically involve rare, severe fetal abnormalities or serious risks to the woman's health. And don't be fooled by proponents' assertion that this amendment is essential to prevent taxpayer-funded abortions from being legalized by Iowa courts. The Hyde Amendment prohibits using government funds to pay for abortion, as was noted in the majority opinion in the Iowa Supreme Court case that struck down the 72-hour waiting period. And in response to the proponents' use of this amendment, or frequent citation of the dissent in that case, I'll just point out that 5 of the 7 justices on the Iowa Supreme Court, 5 well-respected jurists, rejected Justice Manfield's dissent. Instead, 5 of the 7 justices joined Chief Justice Mark Cady's majority opinion, an opinion which reads in pertinent part, "No court has held, and we do not hold today, that a woman's right to terminate a pregnancy is unlimited. Like all fundamental rights, it is subject to reasonable regulation. When the legislature seeks to regulate abortions, it generally acts pursuant to 2 identified state interests. The state has a compelling interest in protecting the woman's own health and safety and ensuring that abortions, like other medical procedures, are performed under safe circumstances for the patient. As well, the state has a compelling interest in promoting potential life." Does that sound like the opening the doors to abortions to the day of birth? Does that sound like judicial activism, overreach, legislating from the bench? Or does that sound like a well-reasoned approach to balancing interests in a complex and emotional issue? To me, it sounds like the latter. Don't be fooled. This bill does not make the Iowa Constitution silent on abortion. This amendment to the Iowa Constitution is not required to prevent ninth-month or taxpayer-funded abortions. There was no judicial overreach by activist judges. Abortion opponents use such inflammatory, deceptive, and frankly insulting language to mislead and to distract from their true agenda, which is to ban abortion in Iowa. I urge my colleagues to reject this bill. I am frustrated with the implication that women can't be trusted, that they can't be trusted to have an interest in promoting potential life, that without government intervention they will irresponsibly have abortions late into their pregnancy simply for convenience. Don't be fooled. You can and you should trust women. Every day women face the deepest personal decision of whether to continue a pregnancy. I trust women to make that decision. I trust women, like my friends and my neighbors, my relatives, and like myself. Women who have faced an unintended pregnancy, or the heartbreak of learning a pregnancy is not viable, or that continuing a pregnancy would put her health or her life at risk. Please do join me in trusting women to make their own personal decisions about such an important life event as when to become a parent and what is in the best interest of her family. And to anyone who is personally opposed to abortion who is still listening to me, thank you. I leave you with another quote from Justice Mark Cady. Reasonable minds unquestionably diverge as to the morality of terminating a pregnancy. Like Justice Cady, I have great respect for the sincerity of those with deeply held beliefs on either side of the issue. But yours or my sincerely held beliefs do not give us the right to dictate to women what they may or may not do with their own bodies, with their own future. The Iowa Constitution must continue to protect that right. Accordingly, I'm opposed to this amendment. Thank you.